Welcome to the Razor's Edge. This is Paul speaking. Tonight I'm interviewing Telford black metalers Blood Church. Well, welcome to the Razor's Edge, guys, and thanks for joining me tonight.
No worries, dude. Cool.
So, we're going to put this out on a podcast, so introduce yourselves and let me know who you are and what you're doing in the band.
I'm Liam. I'm the lead guitarist at Blood Church.
I'm Chris. I'm the bassist and lead vocalist for Blood Church.
I'm Massey, and I'm the drummer for Blood Church.
Brilliant. Pleasure to meet you guys. Nice to see you. It's
Likewise, we do.
So let's get the elephant out of the room straight away. How are you? How are you coping? How have things been?
Oh, I mean, I could think of better things to do with my time than be locked in my house. You know what I mean?
It's been an interesting old time. What do you call it? I think after the first one, you sort of were in the mindset of like, oh, we're coming out. Here we go. Second one. Well, that might be it. Third one. It's where it's just a bit much. But
You're thinking, no, I'm ready for the fourth one now. I know what to do, you know.
Oh yeah, and it's like you've got all these sort of like plans in place and all these things, and then you're just like, oh well, you know, might not happen. So it gets a bit sort of funny, really. But you got to keep pushing. We keep sort of writing in our own time and like playing around with stuff. It's a brilliant time to buy lots and lots of music gear and then wait to use it. Spend all your money on like all sorts of things. So.
Yeah. How about you, Massey? Same for you?
Yeah, pretty much. Just sat in, leaving to go to work and coming back, and that's about it. But then again, I don't like people, so staying inside's great.
Brilliant. So for people that don't know about you, how did you form and describe the kind of music you play? I know because I've seen you. I saw you in Cardiff. God, I was going to say last year, but it was 2019 now, wasn't it?
It's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting that it's been that long since we got to
Tell you what, though, that show was so much fun for us because it was like we turned up and we were just treated so well, and like during the sound check, I mean, somebody forgot a vital part of their gear, so we weren't able to do some of the sounds we do, but we turned up and we just started plugging in and playing, and that room, man, sounded so good.
Yeah.
And the engineer, I can't remember his name, but he knew everything. Like, he was just perfect. I mean, I loved that show and met some great people, and now my little brother goes to Cardiff University, so when we get to play again, I'll be able to meet up with him, so that's all good.
That would be great.
But yeah, overall we formed. I mean, we've all played in bands together since we were all relatively young. Right,
Yes,
me and Massey went to the same secondary school together, and
Been in bands for about 11 years now.
Yeah, playing definitely a lot lighter stuff than we do currently.
Yeah.
I met Chris via college, and
The way we met is like literally written in the stars of like the most beautiful love story you can imagine. So there was a guitar shop in the town which I lived in, like Wellington, and it's gone now. But basically, I was in there and I picked up this electric guitar, and I was like, I was playing "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd, and then I over in the other corner with the 12-string acoustic started playing along with me, and it was like written in the stars. It was like literally like a love story, and then we just sort of started talking and realised we knew a lot of the same people, and I can't remember what band you were in at the time, but I'm pretty sure we were playing with you not far from that.
It was fucking Hades Project.
That was it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were opening for them on their like first show or like second show or something.
No. I think you were headline. Yeah, you were headline.
We were opening for you.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, it was that. That's how long ago it was, and like, you know, we've, like Chewy said, I mean, we've been playing in like bands ever since. I was sort of playing in one band and then was recruited for another band that I think Chewy was in, and Massey, or maybe Massey was after.
No, I
was
like,
after.
It was after. Yeah, it was Disbeliever originally, because I was supposed to join our other guitarists band, and that went all south. And then we formed it was already a project of his that he'd already had material for, and that was when me, Massey and Chris all got recruited, and that's kind of been it since then. Like overall, like it went from that to what we are now, which was I think we went through about 4 different names before we got to Bloodchurch.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing is that, you know, bearing in mind sort of us 3 have been playing together a lot, but not necessarily sort of from the beginning. It's always been like, oh, well, I'll just join into that group and I'll join into that group and stuff like that. But the writing wise, I think that we get on writing wise amazingly, sort of, when you bear that in mind.
When it's come to us 3 as a unit, we've always been a general writing force when it's come to every band that we've been in.
Sure.
So it was about time that we all just kind of were like, yeah, this is kind of our thing now.
Yeah, excellent. And as a band, what's the worst description you've had of the sound that you make? Someone must have said something bad about it.
My gran.
Yeah.
I mean, she described it perfectly, but she's like, sounds like the devil. It's devil music. Like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, nailed it, Nan. Yeah.
I mean, the only way I can describe it is just, you know what I mean? It's just noise. And brutal, and lyrics of all sorts of, you know, ridiculous subjects which are important to me, and if people don't like it, you know, it's that. So
yeah,
that's,
sure.
The only thing that I've ever had said to me that I overall I can't even take it as a bad thing, because it wasn't a bad thing. We got as we said, our sound was like a merge between Behemoth, Whitechapel, and Malevolence, and that was kind of sums everything up, to be honest, because.
Yeah.
Chris is relatively black metal, like trad black, and you've got Massey.
Black or punk for me.
And then you've got Massey who's into his slam and hardcore music with the Malev, and then there's me that listens to nothing but deathcore. So you know, it's pretty much summed up what we are. So that's why our stupid subgenre of satanic black deathcore, you know, just molds together.
I started coining a joke saying that we were Sylvanian metal, like the Sylvanian families used to buy your like niece and cousins, like rabbits and squirrels and shit, and it was just a complete joke where it was just like, I have no idea what we are, and there's no point in trying to sort of say what it is, because I mean, the next album is going to sound completely different. The album after that is probably going to sound completely different, and album to album we're going to have people going, oh, well, now they're fusion, blackened, gent, well, all sorts, prog, and it's just like, I just like
sugar mixed with the Spice Girls.
Exactly, it's like I like playing music that makes people move, and if that's, you know, rhythmically, or, you know, writing something which is, you know, completely disgusting, then call it whatever you like.
Brilliant. So, I talked about 2019, the tail end of it, when you were down in my neck of the woods in Cardiff. But 2019 was probably your year in terms of stuff that you did, because if I'm right, you had the EP out, you had the headline show in Cardiff, but you also had a pretty good run in Metal to the Masses in Wolverhampton, getting to the final, and that lineup in that final was some stellar bands. So
it was a hard show for if you when you put it in competition terms, but you know, everyone that was at that show that was a part of a band was just fucking awesome, man. Like, everyone just brought their A game, and it just made
It was also one of those things where it was quite intimidating because the other bands, I mean, in all of the heats, you know, seemed to be bands that had like they'd done it. You know what I mean? They'd like been playing for like, you know, at least a couple of years together. You know, and doing things. And I mean, realistically, that was like our first sort of proper like shows together. I mean, before that, we were playing to 20 people in the local Badger Dog and Whistle and Piss, you know what I mean? It was just, we were playing to anybody who gave a shit, and then people liked our stuff, and it was like, that's really odd.
Yeah,
and then it was just getting...
We just kind of blew up out of nowhere, because no one knew who we were. We signed up to Metal to the Masses just, I think it was just off a whim, wasn't it? Because I saw the poster.
Yeah, and then we got told that we had to have half an hour of our own stuff, and that was a panic.
Start writing.
I take it you didn't have half an hour of your own stuff at the time,
I
did
think
you?
we had maybe like...
I think we had 15
minutes
at that point,
15 minutes,
something like that.
I had lyrics, like, I remember having lyrics that, like, I mean, that was one of the weird things about, what you got, I think Cardiff was one, and then when we played in Shrewsbury as well, is like, I had lyrics, I mean, one song that we'd been playing for a while, and, I mean, I wrote those lyrics when I was, like, 14 or something like that, and there were people saying the lyrics back to me, and that I didn't quite get, because I was like, I struggle to remember the lyrics myself. How do you guys know it? You know what I mean? And it was just really odd. Like, it was really cool. So, yeah, we had to kind of piece everything together, and there was no sort of like, shall we see if this works? It was like, it's gotta work. And luckily, I mean, getting all the way where we did, I think it was more of a success than we ever anticipated.
I've got images of you sitting there going, right, the only thing we can do is a jazz odyssey and getting into it like that. But
I am not that with the bass player. There is no way I can do jazz bass stuff. I struggle with playing just ones and zeros.
Just zeros in 4/4.
Literally.
Brilliant.
Just hit it. It makes noises. That'll do.
So all the heats and the final and the semi, they're all in the steel mill. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, which is a cracking venue, isn't it?
Amazing venue. Like, sound-wise, the guys are fantastic. I mean, get on really, really well with anyone there, and I miss playing there. It's been ages.
What did you find about the camaraderie between the bands? Because I'm one of the judges in Cardiff for the Metal to the Masses down here, and the last 2 or 3 years, the vibe has been getting better every year. All the bands are really supportive of each other.
I mean, overall, when at our first 2 heats, I don't think we really spoke to anyone because we didn't know anyone. Apart from the guys that came to that were competing that we knew, like Record the Remains, but like we've known like Jacob and that lot since college and stuff as well. And but overall, it seems like once you're over that hurdle with any sort of situation with talking to new people, I mean, everyone's just mega friendly. Like, especially this year with it was in our heat that was really nice to us. It was the other ones that went through. I can't remember. Did you just kill Johnny Rockstar?
Yeah, kill Johnny.
They were awesome.
They were awesome, and they were really good to us as well. So, you know, it overall the vibe has been amazing, especially with Metal to the Masses in general. With every band that plays, it's just been everyone's just got on really well.
I think what was really respectful as well from all of the bands is like everybody was sort of making an effort to talk to each other, but then I mean I remember those shows in particular, like they were the first shows where we were actually sort of caring more about ourselves in regard of like before we went on was like stretching out, limbering up, you know, like having a huddle and talking to each other. And as soon as that stuff was going on, everybody was like, you know, leaving each other to be with their band to almost like prepare for battle, if you know what I mean, which was super like amazing because it's hard to find room in venues everybody that's in bands or has been around bands knows that sort of green rooms are things for like Metallica. We get toilets which have no lights. And
back at the Alma before it closed, toilet that had.
I remember I had a serious like case of needing to go to the toilet that show, and I turned up at that venue and. There was a prison toilet, there was water dripping from the ceiling, no light, and I remember just like Scott holding a light to let me go to the toilet and stuff like that, and I was like, I can't do this, and I needed to go again, so I ran to the Costa sort of down the road, just like, I can't do it. I did, that venue was amazing too. I mean, like, for a small venue, I mean, it was a really good show. It was really fun.
Sure. So when was the last time you guys have actually played live?
March last year was our Metal to the Masses heat.
Right.
Yeah, that was the last show we played together.
Semi-final.
We had like 4 or 5 shows lined up before the whole COVID situation, and I think one was literally the week of lockdown.
Yeah.
So everything just went tits up.
So
and overall, we've not really been able to see or practice or anything. Like, it's been a case of, I've got these ideas, I'll send them to you once, or I'll come and show you once we're allowed to, and then obviously with the whole lockdown, it's just gone, I can't come and see you now because of what tier we're in and all this bollocks.
Yeah. So what was the plan for last year? Because I know you're in the process of doing your album, aren't you?
Yeah.
So are you a year behind where you would have been? Is roughly that?
Essentially that. Obviously, there's been other things that's gone on with us, parting ways with Scott.
Yeah.
That took a bit of a knock to all of us, that we all needed a little bit of a break from it, and then it's just been pretty much stalemate with the writing process, because all of our writing's done at Massey's house because he's got his home studio.
Right.
And I've eventually developed what I've got with a couple of monitors and a relatively cheap interface and stuff, and we can send bits to and from, but overall it's a case of we need memory sticks because of the file sizes. So it's been, everything's held back a bit.
It's been tough. It's been really tough.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I think even throughout all of it, the communication between us, just even for the sake of just posting a meme every so often, like the communication to keep us sort of spurred on and in spirits and stuff like that. I mean, you never stop listening to music, you know what I mean? You never stop being inspired. So I think we definitely, as soon as we can, even if it's like we're not able to gig yet again until like next year, even if it's a case of we can still sort of like go into each other's houses and record, I reckon as soon as we're able to, we will just be all guns blazing in that department.
100%.
But it's just, we don't know what's going on like everybody else, you know what I mean? I mean, there's loads of bands which have sadly broke up due to this, and I mean, a lot of bands which I really wanted to play with, a lot of bands which, were friends of ours and stuff like that. But it's like, I just keep thinking in my head, I just want to keep going. And it's hard, but you just want to keep going. You keep want to create cool stuff. I mean, that was the whole visual aspect of the band as well. I mean, we can't, even if we do get a chance to do a show, I mean, shows for us are a bit harder in the respect of all of the, stage props and the outfits and the corpse paint and stuff like that. It's all of those things you kind of start to miss. I miss coming home at 2:00 in the morning and trying to scrape dried blood off my chest, you know what I mean? I miss it so much.
Sure. I suppose you'll have to have someone coming along with the anti-COVID bacterial spray, wiping all your props down between songs or something, won't you?
Literally. I remember, even that, it's going to be safer if we just have a giant fucking presidential screen in front of us, to be honest.
I remember, I sold one of my old basses because I got a new bass, and I forgot that I hadn't cleaned it, and I think that was one of the basses that I used at Cardiff, or the main bass I used at Cardiff, and there was this amazing stripe that went from like the top horn to like where the knobs were of just white and red, And it was where I'd obviously been like going, slapping it and stuff like that, and it just had a massive streak of stuff, and I was like, God, memories.
Yeah.
So I sold that just before lockdown when I got the new one, and I was just like, God, like,
Yeah.
I need to gig.
Yeah. You mentioned obviously Scott left last summer, and I saw his Facebook post, and obviously you'd had a discussion with him about his decision to leave, and obviously he was very honest and very brave about why he was leaving, and I think obviously it was very clear the reasons why. Where are you in terms of, I mean, obviously when you lose a band member, especially when you're a 4-piece down to a 3-piece, where are you in terms of what your plans are in terms of, are you going to go back out? Are you looking for another guitarist?
I mean, at the moment, it's a case of we're just focusing on the writing aspect. I mean, there's a couple of people that we might talk to about it, but at this current moment in time, I think I speak for the other two as well. We're just focusing on making sure that we've got the material to just, if we do that, we can just go, this is what we've got, try this out.
It's almost like nothing's set in stone, and realistically, when we were writing, you know, originally and stuff like that, a lot of the writing sort of side of things was a lot of the times was us as a 3-piece. I mean, I'm a melody guy. I like, you know, melodic sections. Chewy likes writing stuff which, you know, will throw you to the back of the room, and Massey makes it all make sense. You know what I mean? He makes it all sort of fit together, as like he hears things that I don't hear, and so he's above and beyond a drummer. You know what I mean? He's more the whole heart and soul and brain behind the band in that respect. So it's like, I think even if it's a case of if we stick as a 3-piece, the writing side of things is still going to stay as a thing. I mean, if we look for another guitarist, it will be a case of finding a guitarist which can write like us and understand the way that we work, and that's kind of hard, finding a guitarist that first and foremost is a good guy, second can actually sort of have the equipment to be able to gig the way that we gig and do what we do, and also finding someone who's also willing to put on the corpse paint, you know, because some people find it too cheesy and stuff like that, and people don't want to do it.
People assume that we're like a fucking Kiss act. Like, come on, man.
It's like we were scared when we were first doing it, where people were just going to say, Behemoth rip-off. And it got to a point where I literally just turned around and said, are we going to do this or not? Because I'm not doing one show where we do it and one show we're not. We're going to either do it and stick with it, or we're not doing it at all, and I'm not bothered either way. And we all thought it was best for us as performers to take on these other personas, you know what I mean? These sort of characters in black and white corpse paint. Like I said, if we look for a 4th guitarist, it's got to be someone who's wanting to do that as well, in my regard, because I want a performer. Ultimately, we're a band. We perform. That's what we do. You know, albums aside, we write music that we like and we perform it. If people can't do that, then that's sort of not what we're looking for, sadly.
No, sure. I mean, I'm good friends with the Grona guys, who obviously 2 of them, Tim and Alan, put on your event, and I've seen them play without the full gear that they wear, and despite the fact that you're still pinned to the wall, obviously you want to see them with all the armour on and the corpse paint and stuff, because it is, as you say, it is a performance.
I mean, it's got to the point where it's like, you know, I've made a persona around it. I've made a character, you know what I mean, that is, the person tries to be different from me, you know what I mean? I'm a nervous guy in general. When you talk to me, I just laugh and smile and joke around, and that's how I get through being nervous. When I'm on stage, that ain't me. That's a different character, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very much relatable to me as well, because I'm a relatively reserved person in real life, and it's very far from what I am, but it's also a release in a sense.
Yeah. I must admit that when I'm old enough to remember when Kiss took their makeup off, and it was such a crushing disappointment.
Literally.
Especially with the way.
If anything, Paul Stanley needs that makeup on now.
Yeah, there was a definite Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley. Put it back on, please, because you've destroyed everything. Tell me a little bit more about the EP, The God Complex, because that was released as well in 2019, and I do have a copy. I was listening to it yesterday. So, how did it go down? What was the reaction like when it came out?
A hell of a lot better than I expected.
Yeah,
it was really. I mean, what's different about that EP, I think, in comparison to the EPs and the albums that were coming out from the other guys in the scene, was everything was done at home, completely DIY. I mean, like I said, Massey is an amazing engineer with what he's got at his hand. I think he makes stuff that sounds great. And some people, like, I think there was one review which said something about audio, like something about the mix, and the rest of them were just like incredible. I think the one thing that I want to do with further releases is try and capture what we sound like live. I want to catch that live element into the music, which is really difficult to do, but that's why we have the time to do it.
Yeah.
But in regards of, like, you know, the actual sort of songs, I mean, how long have we been sitting on those songs?
Fucking False Idols was that original fast riff at the very, very beginning was a part of a different song we were writing in a previous band. And with our previous guitarist before Scott, we were working on a song with that riff. And it wasn't until that we parted ways and stuff with our previous guitarist that it kind of like gelled, and we managed to make something of it. But the other stuff we'd been sat on, like we'd had like those riffs just lying about for fucking ages, to be honest. So
If I remember correctly, didn't we originally write those songs where I wasn't the bass player?
Yeah, we wrote those where you weren't the bass player.
So it was like we were writing those. I was, you know, annoying everybody by saying, "Do you mind if I just quickly like show you something on the guitar and let me just let me have a go?" And like, so it was. I was trying to sort of help write guitar riffs, coming up with how I wanted the screams to work and stuff like that, while trying to write everything. And then all of a sudden, a bass player that we originally tried to start with just didn't show up. And I was like, well, I've got some money in the bank and I help write these songs, so I can try and write bass parts. And I just bought a bass rig out now. And yeah, literally I've been the bass player in that sense ever since. And now I'm probably the most sort of interruptive, loud, push to the front bass player at the moment. And it annoys the hell out of people. But some people really like it.
Sure. Tell me about your social media and the work that you do on that, because every band has obviously had to do.
Oh God,
I'm gonna not talk at this because I literally don't know how to do anything. I am like an old man with social media. Overall,
like we're all pretty fucking anti-social media, to be honest. Like we all fucking hate it. If we didn't need it, we wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
But with the way the world is, it's not the 80s anymore where people go out and fucking find you via a CD or vinyl store. You have to have an online presence now. And overall,
there's no tape trading anymore. There's no tape trading. I mean, if you think about Napalm Death, you know what I mean? The main way that they sort of started and the main way they got famous was through the tape trading. So,
yeah. I remember that.
We don't have that. We literally don't have that at all. I mean, most recently, you know what I mean, I've been talking to I have no idea how to say his name properly, so I'm going to butcher it, but Olivier Pinar, who's the bassist from Cryptopsy and now in Cattle Decapitation. And if I would never have been able to talk to somebody like that, but I literally messaged him out of a whim, just talking about bass gear, what I should go for, was talking to him, and now he likes our Facebook page and listened to our band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's cool. I wouldn't have been able to do that without social media, but I still don't understand it, and I still don't understand how some bands get more opportunities or get pushed more for a certain amount of like likes or follows gets you certain things. I don't get it.
It's a dark art. I don't understand it. I've got to be honest.
Literally, it's hard to stay relevant in the waves of social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it wasn't for social media, I mean, I'll ban drop. But we got to play with fucking Black Tongue because Ian from Surprise You Dead heard of us, and I jokingly commented on one of their shows where they were like, "Oh, who should warm up for Monuments?" And I tagged our band as a joke with a little winky face. He was like, "Nah, but I can whack you on Black Tongue," and we were like, "Boy, what?"
That was a killer show.
And that was insane because we've all listened to Black Tongue since college.
Yeah.
Listening to Coma and thinking it was the most fucking brutal song you'd ever heard in your life, and then getting to play with them.
And where did you play with them? Which venue?
Rainbow.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't Rainbow.
No, it was what's it called? It's the one on the river in Birmingham. I can't remember.
Yeah.
The Scruffy's, wasn't it? No, it's not.
No, not Scruffy's.
It wasn't Scruffy's. It was shite.
Not Asylum. Not the. What's it called? It'll come to us soon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Keep talking.
Like playing that show was like incredible because I'd seen Black Tongue ages ago at the Asylum opening for Fit for an Autopsy, Thy Art is Murder and Suicide Silence. I actually went to that show with Jacob from Recall the Remains.
Yeah.
And I remember like listening to him before thinking, Jesus, that's like the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. And seeing them was just like insane. And then I had a photo with the drummer Aaron,
the flapper.
The flapper. That's it. So I had a photo with Aaron the drummer, and then I was stood, trying to like scrape off like damaged limbs, you know what I mean? And like I just was singing to myself, one day I'm going to be in a band heavy enough to play with Black Tongue, one day. And then I got to do it, so I had a photo with him then and said I was saying to myself one day I'd do it, and he remembered, and like we had a photo, and it was just like, for me I was just like, it's finally happened. It was amazing. I was so happy after that show.
And what was the reception like from the crowd? Did you get a good response?
Yeah, but considering we were the first band on, we still had a lot of people in that room.
We had a lot of people in. There was a lot of pits. You know what I mean? It was
like it was just brutal, man. From the word go, like I mean, you had us, you had who's the other dudes from Wolverhampton that have really blown up?
Yeah, no,
Suffer. There we go. We had them suffer upon those dying, and it was just brutal, man. Like from the word go, it was just brutal. It's weird being the lightest band on a fucking roster. You know what I mean?
I think that show I felt like I was in Kiss in comparison to everyone.
So you were genuinely the warm-up band for people just to get themselves stretched and stuff.
That is such a terrifying thing.
Limber up, bro.
And that is a terrifying thing to be in any band. I mean, like that, being warm-up band for so long and being support acts, it's a scary thing to do because it's either going to like make the night a great one, or it's going to be people just with their backs turned waiting for the headliner.
Yeah.
And I think, not to toot our own horn, but every show we've played where we've been supporting and warming up, I don't think we've ever had a sort of a really bad reception and people not interested or like wanting to throw down, which I think is amazing. And if that's literally down to the people that come to the shows, I mean, thank them all, because you make us want to play and make us want to play more shows.
Brilliant. So let's put you on the spot a little bit now. Last year since lockdown, I thought last year was one of the best years we've had for music for a long time, but I say that every year because there's so much good stuff. What albums were the ones that stood out for you? Anything that you played over and over again, or that...
Last year?
In the last 10 months or so, yeah.
Definitely. I can't remember if this was... Yeah, this was last year. It was Vicera. It's Jamie Graham's band. He was the original vocalist for Heart of a Coward. His new band is absolutely brutal. It's out their album Obsidian. Every time I'm at the gym or doing anything that's on in the background, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
Death Atlas, Cattle Decapitation. That one was ridiculous.
The new Anal Nathrak as well.
Oh, such a
disgusting.
good. Probably one of my favourite bands of all time. And that album was just like incredible. In Darkman, I pretty much play every day, and I just love that band to pieces. Who else? I mean, there's.
What about you, Massey? We're doing a lot of talking. Name a couple.
I'm just trying to remember the band. I found them. I remember the song Spirit Box. That's
Spirit Box, yeah, they're fucking pretty lit, and Sleep Tokens as well.
Yeah, Spirit Box I've been playing quite a bit. They're relatively new. I think it's most of them are ex I Wrestled a Bear Once members.
Okay.
They've sort of made like a completely different, like more genty style thing.
Great.
I would probably also fucking say the new After the Burial. What is it? Evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Evergreen. Incredible with fucking what is it with the fucking squeaks? It's Behold the Crown, isn't it? Yeah, that song absolutely.
I'm not a massive gent guy. I never have been. Like I used to like Periphery a little bit, and but the one that stayed for me gent wise has literally been After the Burial. I've loved them for ages, and then hearing that, just you can't help but headbang listening to After the Burial. They're just amazing. Such a good band.
Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that I'd have expected you to say. What about something not necessarily from last year, but something that you put on which people wouldn't expect you to listen to? A guilty pleasure, should we say?
Cat Stevens. Cat Stevens. That dude is awesome. But like, I'm a massive old school guy anyway. Like Cat Stevens, Neil Young. Pink Floyd is a massive one. Massive Motorhead fan. I've got Lemmy tattooed on my shin. All sorts. Old punk bands, man. Like old punk and hardcore, Agnostic Front, Gorilla Biscuits, stuff like that. Stuff which is just, really sort of like actual lyrics that I'm really sort of into, like real social political stuff I'm massive into. I'm more of a punk than I am a metalhead. I've always said it. I listen to a hell of a lot more punk anyway, like Black Flag, stuff like that. But Flogging Molly. I'm just more into punk, really. But I'm in a metal band, so I write like a punk in a metal setting.
Well, you won't be the first.
No, exactly. Definitely not. I mean, there's so many crossovers and so many bands which write sort of social political stuff, and I want more of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you've got enough.
The one that came out recently, which shocked the hell out of me, was the new Cannibal Corpse. Came out a couple of days ago?
Yeah.
I think it was been out a week now, I think.
Literally, and that was awesome. I mean, Eric Rutan, from Hate Eternal, Ex-Morbid Angel, new guitarist, and he recorded 4 of their albums, and that song is just awesome. Such a good song. Can't wait for that album.
Yeah, I'd probably say the album. I cringe at myself, but I've got a really bad, unhealthy obsession with Post Malone, man. Like constantly. Like if I'm doing, I've got on Spotify and just have that rolling, and it's fucking mad because I know like every word to it as well. But there's that. I'm also weirdly, I think what's the other thing I'm into at the minute? I'm into shanties and I'm into Irish folk music at the minute as well, surprisingly.
Right.
I got a bodhrán for Christmas.
But yeah, so it's like stuff like the Irish Rovers and stuff is I don't know, it's piqued interest again. Like I've always had a thing for that sort of thing. But
the Rum Jacks, stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Great.
The Pogues, the Pogues.
Massey, have you got any thing you want to reveal, or are you happy to let the other two take it all?
Oh, mine's definitely the worst because I mean.
Oh, me and Chris Thomas have also got a really bad obsession with Venga Boys since fucking Die Artist Murder.
It's been a staple of our Xbox sessions of, going into, the war zone or sailing the seas and just there going, boom, boom, boom. Oh, it's been brilliant.
Yeah. Probably the more normal one is, I've been listening to the new Shikari album. That's pretty great. But I also like the stage show Hamilton, and I like that whole album, and the drumming's just interesting, and it's the whole rap as a musical is been done sort of, but it's never been done this great before ever, and it's just a very interesting how they put so much information into like 3 hours.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
It's like 17,000 words or something in 3 hours. It's ridiculous.
All right. As another quick question for you then, when you got together, you obviously would have started off like most bands playing covers, I would assume, doing a bit of cover versions. So
yeah.
let's think of a cover version that you did on a regular basis, maybe when you first started gigging, and is there a cover version that you think we should really do that if we had like the opportunity to put it on a B-side or something? What would you pick?
I mean,
which Bullet for My Valentine song were we choosing?
The go-to, if anything, because we all played it for at least 7 years, was My Curse by Killswitch Engage. In our previous band, and I mean we used to do it before, like in the early days of this, before we discovered like we want to be heavier, but it was generally My Curse by Killswitch Engage. It was also End of Heartache, and then I think the other one we played to death, and I mean we had to stop playing it because we just couldn't do it anymore. It's nothing against the band, we still all love it, but it's Parkway Drive Dark Days.
Yeah.
We did that a lot.
We did. I mean, the one that we play a lot, we still do every so often when we play live, Roots Bloody Roots. Like, I wanted to play that song in a band for ages, like, so long, and then I was literally just like, should we do it? And he was like, it's so easy, just like, and it's just the way that we do it, and the fact that we slow down the breakdown just that little bit more for a bit of Blood Church flavour is awesome.
Yeah, slow it down.
One of the songs that I really want to cover, and we were going to at some point, but everything, it goes downhill, was Slayer, World Painted Blood. Because the first thing that popped into my head when I was listening to it was like, if we down-tuned it to what we down-tuned to, it would sound like Cannibal Corpse.
This was before the 8 strings as well, like, because we've gone lower as well now since Scott left, because we needed to find something to fill the void musically. Was we moved on to 8, so fucking World Painted Blood now is basically just going to sound like fucking Meshuggah.
Literally. Trying to scream that speed is going to be interesting. So
the other one we were going to cover that I still really want to do at some point, even if it's a recorded basis and it never gets fucking seen, just to hear how we sound doing it, was fucking Black Mammoth by Fit for an Autopsy. Just because that song absolutely slaps.
Massey, anything that you fancy as a challenge?
Venga Boys fan.
Did you hear that, Chris? Did you hear that? I swear he said bleed under his breath.
No, we're gonna play Physical Education by Alex Disease.
I can play that.
Get in the bin, mate. Not
We'll have to find another band for that.
Heck, you expect me to be able to fucking thumb tap like that and alternate, what is it? It's fucking selective picking with my other hand. Get in the bin.
Vocals.
Yeah.
Okay, so one final question before we wrap up. What was the first record, CD, album that you bought?
First one I bought?
Easy. I'll set this up. Fucking, it was Metallica and Justice for All, because that was my first fucking favourite album I'd ever listened to.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I win this. Bob the Builder.
First album I ever bought. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was Black Flag. I think it was the one with Nervous Breakdown. It might be called Nervous Breakdown. I got it somewhere, but yeah, Black Flag.
Yeah. And the last album you bought?
Last album I bought was. What are we talking? Vinyl?
Whatever you want. Yeah, vinyl or CD, I don't mind. Or tape, even if you're that retro.
I mean, the last one I bought was probably an Al Nathrak. It was the album before the most recent one. And then my little brother for Christmas got me a single. It was Motorhead's first single on a limited edition, like pink vinyl. Right. He got me that for Christmas. I was like, how the hell did you find this? And he works in a record store, and it just popped in one day, and he was like, yoink. So, and he got me that, and it's just like, it's so good. I was over the moon with that.
Brilliant.
The last one I bought was, I believe, was Architects' Holy Hell. I might be wrong, but I swear, I'm pretty sure that was the last album I bought, and that was because my CD of it I got originally broke. But yeah, that was probably the last album I bought was Holy Hell by Architects.
Yeah.
It's another thing I miss, going into CD shops and like vinyl stores and stuff like that, and going in and just flicking through. That's something I miss as well, definitely.
It's a lot more fun than just doing eBay or Discogs or something.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm more of a physical copy guy.
I found, do you remember when we went to Wellington Market and there was that fucking vinyl day or whatever it was in the library?
Vinyl fair, yeah.
Vinyl fair, and I found probably the rarest thing I've ever found, which was an original single with the original artwork before they actually changed it to the Spaceman for Paranoid.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And I paid £1.50 for it, and I'm pretty sure it's definitely not fucking worth that.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Massey? You missed your last album that you bought. You had plenty of time.
Yeah, my last album that I bought was Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible by Enter Shikari.
Cool.
But I've also got a rare vinyl of the first album cover for Appetite of Destruction before they had to change it.
Cool.
That's cool.
Excellent.
Is that the one I think it is, with the things on it?
Yeah,
yes.
With the dodgy bits at the bottom. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, in terms of your plans for this year, obviously you're still kind of hamstrung by the pandemic and the restrictions and everything. If things are lifted later springtime, I assume, first things you're going to do will be just to get together and start fleshing out those ideas, yeah?
100%, but in terms of what we want to give people, we will definitely at least have a song done and potentially a video by around that time. Fingers crossed, providing everything goes ahead.
If everything got lifted in spring and we could do whatever we wanted again, I think it would be a case of we'd get in a practice room for the first time, we'd run through our set list, and I'd die of cramp, and then I think it would be straight on the show bookings and getting some shows.
Yeah.
Obviously writing as well, but I mean, I'm so wanting a show again.
Yeah.
I think that would be the thing I'd be pushing for spring going into summer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just depends what happens.
Brilliant. So, in terms of, just to wrap up, where people can find information about you guys, you're on Facebook and...
Yeah, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Both, but I mean, I should hope nothing else should come up when it comes to typing in Bloodchurch on Facebook. But if you want to find us on Instagram, it's at Bloodchurch-band.
And God Complex and the single, they're all on Spotify, aren't they?
Gold Complex is available on all streaming services,
Yeah.
as Amazon Music, YouTube. You can find it. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Music. You can find it on Deezer. You can find it on absolutely everything.
Tidal, everything.
Literally.
Brilliant. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to see you again in a sweaty venue with a pint in my hand because it's been far too long.
Absolutely, dude.
Fingers crossed for you, and hopefully we'll see you soon. And take care of yourselves in the meantime.
Yeah, take
See
care.
you later.
All the
Ta-ra,
best,
man.
guys. Take care.